Duncanville Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551. We will now move to a public hearing on the first report. We will hear from Dr. Smith. If you wish to address the board after the presentation by Dr. Smith, please come to the podium. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes. Delegations of more than 5 persons must appoint one person to present their views before the board.
All right, thank you, Madam President. I'm going to call Dr. Bigby, our interim CFO, to present the first report.
I might just take a second to tell you I'm really happy to be in Duncanville ISD. I've been in quite a few districts around the Metroplex, and Duncanville's always been one of those shining stars, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work even on a part-time basis. So thanks for having me. Every school district in Texas is rated on the Financial Accountability Rating System, and by law, there has to be a hearing in the public. And that's what this is set up to be. I think I control this. The system's been in place for 15 years. The TEA says the primary goal is to achieve quality performance and management of school district financial services. Really what they did was they created a system to find the districts that were circling the drain. At the time, there were 2 or 3 that were really in poor financial shape, and they developed a system so that at TEA they could understand quickly the districts that were in trouble and they could intervene those. It turns out it's a great way to recognize good fiscal management, but their purpose initially was to assist districts in trouble. Duncanville's earned the state's highest rating, which is superior or a status of passed. And as the slide says, this represents you as a board, superintendent, and the employees of controlling costs and budgeting accurately and forecasting long term. So you're to be condemned for that. The data that's presented in this report this time is 2015-16 data. It's the 16-17 report, but it's basically a year and a half behind. So the last year's won't come up until next year. There's 15 indicators and a total scoring system. They've changed how the scoring system works, but there's a 100-point scoring system now, and Duncanville ISD scored 96 of the 100 possible points. Superior ratings anywhere from 90 to 100 points. So that's quite a good rating, and should be proud of that. They have added to the report over the years, and I'm assuming some legislators decided they wanted to see some things. So now it must have the superintendent's contract, any transaction involving you as board members and the superintendent, such as your travel, any compensation received by the superintendent other than salary, gifts from vendors to executive officers or board members of $250 or more, in business transaction between school districts and board members if you happen to be one of those that does business with the school. So those are all included in the report. And once again, Duncanville's rating was superior, passed with all but 4 points. I will tell you the deduction of the 4 points, and this was 2 years ago, was long-term debt to property value, and as your property values climb, you'll see that those points come back in, so you'll get closer to 100, I'm sure, next year, and probably within 2 years, it looks like you'll be back to where you have a perfect score. I would entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Bigby.
Thank you.
Bigby. With there being no public discussion, the public hearing is now closed. Mr. Joe Veracruz will now lead us in the invocation as we start the opening ceremonies.
please pray with me? Heavenly Father, once again, Lord, we thank you for another day that wasn't promised. We know, Lord, that to much is given, much is required, Lord, and we know that we've got quite a bit on our plate. But we're thankful for the opportunity to serve you, serve the district, Lord. As always, Lord, I pray specifically for our communications and public relations department. They have a lot to do, Lord, and we know that they have the grand opportunity of expressing and showing the success that we have here in Duncanville. It's only through the Holy Spirit that that's allowed, Lord. So once again, Lord, we thank you for everything. We always ask for safety of our students, the endurance of our teachers and principals, and of course, safety of our superintendent and our board. We ask this in your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Students from Brandenburg Intermediate will lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Good afternoon, President McNeely, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith. I am Ms. Thompson, the proud principal of Brandenburg Intermediate. And tonight we have a couple of students here, and I want to thank them for coming and their parents also for bringing them. They are a part of our media team, and they bring the announcements every morning to us at school. And they are sponsored by Miss Kendall Lilly, 5th grade reading teacher at Brandenburg, and I will let her introduce the students.
Thank you once again, Board of Trustees, for the invitation. The media team for Brandenburg is represented by 7 students, remarkable students. Today we are represented by Ariana White and Destiny Keaton.
We now move into recognitions, and we welcome Ms. Tiara Richard.
Good evening, President McNeely, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. As always, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to step before you today and talk about 3 astounding members of our Duncanville ISD family. As we're coming out of the Thanksgiving holiday, it's time to be very thankful for those who go above and beyond and do so much to make our district a great place to work, to play, and just enjoy ourselves. So I'm going to start off with our Made with Pride in Duncanville honorees. The first one is our Teacher of the Month, Mr. Larry Moore of Brandenburg Intermediate. Mr. Larry Moore is a dedicated art teacher at Brandenburg Intermediate. He excels at artistic endeavors and ensuring that his students achieve nothing but the best. Brandenburg has won first place repeatedly at district-sponsored contests. Ms. Holen is the teacher who nominated Mr. Moore, and she said she did so because he graciously gives us time and talent to provide banners and murals for teachers and programs whenever he is asked. He stays after hours and even comes in on his days off to work to see that murals are completed. He generally spends between 10 and 30 hours completing murals for programs on top of his regular teaching duties, and he does this all cheerfully. As we've gone through the process of honoring Mr. Moore this month, we've also had the privilege of really talking to him and getting to know him, and I want to say that it's an honor to know a teacher like this who cares so much for our kids and them stepping up and achieving above and beyond. And so because of the effort that you put in, our kids are doing great work, and we truly, truly appreciate you. And thank you, and recognize you as our Made with Pride in Duncanville Teacher of the Month. Thank you, sir. Up next, we have our Staff of the Month who comes from Hastings Elementary School, Mr. Joe McMillan, better known as Mac. All righty, sir, thank you. All right, I'll read just a few kind words. Mac has been the behavior unit aide at Hastings Elementary for 8 years. Even though his role is to assist with the needs of some of our more challenging students, he goes above and beyond the call of duty on a daily basis. Every morning, you'll find him greeting students and families at the crosswalk with the biggest smile and the warmest good morning. Throughout the day, you'll find him counseling students, managing the cafeteria, helping teachers. He's on bus duty, he drives the bus, and any other task that he's asked to do, he will do it without hesitation. Mac has a true heart for our children. When he started his own basketball club at Hastings for the 4th and 5th grade students, where he stayed after school and on weekends on his own time to work with students, not only to teach the techniques of basketball, but also how to be an outstanding athlete off this court. This program was such a success that he's continued the basketball program, but has since also started a volleyball club for 3rd and 4th grade girls, where he stays after school and helps them also. So on a daily basis, he's coaching kids, he's supporting staff, he's just doing anything he can do to make sure that he's a part of the Hastings family and helping out. And we're truly, truly thankful that you're a part of us and working with us and supporting our kids and teachers and staff. So our Staff of the Month, Made with Pride in Duncanville, Mr. Joe McMillan. And last but not least, we have our Student of the Month, Miss Faith Lamel, who is an 11th grader at Duncanville High School. Here you go, Faith. All right, Faith is a recent transfer to Duncanville ISD. She went to a nearby school district we won't name. She came to the place she should have been from the beginning. So we're very thankful that you're here, Faith. In her relatively short time here, she has already been elected as the Fellowship of Christian Athletes president, and is doing a great job recruiting and getting other students involved and active in the group. She believes in reaching out to others to be a part of something bigger than yourself. Just recently, she brought in Vernon King, who's a graduate from 2009, back to school to give a motivational speech about leadership and stepping out of your comfort zone to do the right thing. I believe this is just the beginning, and we'll continue to see Faith do many, many great things. She's also a member of the Pantherettes basketball team, so we'll see her on the court also this season. But just on and off the court, Faith has just been a really shining example for other students and staff and parents and the community as a whole. So we're super thankful that Faith is here as our Made with Pride in Duncanville Student of the Month, Faith. And while our Made with Pride honorees get one final picture with President McNeely, we'll play a video that shows us a little bit about what they do and why they were selected.
Duncanville ISD congratulates the following student, staff member, and teacher who were made with pride in Duncanville.
At Cedar Hill, I was at FCA, one of the FCA people there, and I just wanted to help get in FCA again and just to allow it to grow because it's small, so we got to allow it to grow and let the whole school know that it's there and let it just expand and get in a bigger room. And just let people know we have support. I just like helping people, so just to be able to reach out and do something simple in the mornings to make somebody's day, I like helping people.
So the biggest thing we did, I got volunteer coaches to come in and help coach. I even have coaches come in that help teach them basic skills, and then we run a league to give the kids a chance to play. It doesn't cost them anything. All it costs them really is time. You get to learn the game, and it prepares them for the next step up. because they have to have grades. They have to keep the grades up. You must have a good attitude and behave. So it just really preparing them for the upper grades and for life.
What I say to my kids, what I've been saying for the last 38 years that I've been in the education business, is that if you, and all of you will be the very best art students that you can be, I promise and guarantee I'll be one of the best art teachers that you could ever have. And they have responded to me by coming up with first place in the last 4 art shows and contests over the last 4 years. So that I am very proud of, because they are giving me good feedback when they do that. And it lets me know that I'm doing the very best job that I can for them.
These honorees truly are made with pride in Duncanville.
And I'd like to ask, because you all do wonderful, great things, but there are family and friends who are in the audience who also support you and staff. So anyone who's with the Hastings, Brandenburg, or DHS family, or here supporting our honorees, please stand so we can recognize you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richard. We will now move into the superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I have the following reports to present. The first item is just to congratulate the Panthers football team for reaching the second round of the playoffs. Our season ended with an 11-1 record. We obviously fell short this past weekend. We ran out of time, but it was truly a great season. It's always good to see our students perform at the highest level and get that experience that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. And so that was a good opportunity. Also, our board members that were there in support of that experience with our students. The second item that I have for you this evening is to update you or report to you on the superintendent community talks. I've shared with you in previous weeks that I had started to develop a superintendent's community talk process, which gives me an opportunity to interact with various communities throughout the district in small group settings to build rapport, build relationships, to listen and respond to their questions. Last month, I was at Byrd. That was my first meeting. Actually, it was November 2nd. Actually, it was this month. And so that was my first community talk meeting. We held that at Byrd Middle School and had some good dialogue with parents and staff members as well. Over the next several months, I'll be attending the following PTA meetings. At Central Elementary, I'll be there in December. I'll be at Bill Hart's in January. In February, I'll be at Hardin Intermediate. In March, I'll be at Hastings. And then in Brandenburg, in April, I'll be at Brandenburg. And I'll provide you with a list so that if you want to come and participate in those meetings, you'll have those dates and times. The community talks are really important for me and for us. It gives us an opportunity to be able to share good news, but also, again, to be able to listen to what parents want to share with me. And it gives me, again, that opportunity to share with them in a close, more intimate environment that they can feel comfortable in asking questions, and that they can feel comfortable that they're going to get responses that are that are providing them the information they need. And so we are really excited about that and continuing that. Have several other dates that we're looking at. Those are the dates that are established at this time, and so I'll be updating you when we firm up the other dates. The third item that I have to report this evening is on the Dallas County Schools. And so I want to provide the board a report with the status of the Dallas County Schools and how that impacts us here in Duncanville ISD. And so you may have heard on November 7th, the residents of the Dallas County area voted to discontinue the operation of Dallas County Schools. after the 2017-2018 school year. They established a dissolution committee, and that committee has been given the charge to basically running the day-to-day operations of Dallas County Schools for the remainder of this school year. And they have replaced the former DCS board. We here in Duncanville, we currently contract with Dallas County Schools. We have 8 school resource officers. 4 of those resource officers are at the high school. 1 of those resource officers are at middle school. We have, and then we have 1 officer that's a floater. Of course, I have been watching this process take place over several months, and so anticipating that this indeed would occur, I've been working with our staff to evaluate several options that we would put into play if we were in need. And so I started by meeting with the SROs on Thursday, November 8th, the day after the election. We met as a team, and the purpose is I wanted to assure them that we here in Duncanville intended to continue to have the SRO program. We intend to honor the current contract that we are under with our SROs, and that I wanted to provide them assurance that I'm working on a plan for next school year. The biggest concern for our SROs is the committee discontinuing the police department. And so that is something that could happen with this new committee that has come in and taken over. They could decide to dismantle the police department. And without a police department, the SROs would lose their police commission. And that's a big deal because you can't obviously operate independently. You have to be governed by a police department. And so that would put our SROs in a very difficult position. So I have a short-term plan, I have a long-term plan. I want to outline that for you. In the short term, in the event that DCS shuts down the police department before the end of the school year, as that also is a possibility. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We have to monitor this committee and their work over time. But if the committee decides to discontinue, then what we'll do is we'll put into action our plan. And so I've already had discussions with some nearby districts regarding developing an MOU with them and their school board. These other districts have a police department. And remember, you have to have that police department established in order for the police officers to have their commission. So that's one of the options that I'm exploring. There are a lot of details that I still have to work through, but I wanted to be proactive in the event that we find ourselves in a situation that we needed to have that covering in terms of the governance of a police department. Long term, what I will likely be doing is bringing a recommendation to the board, and we have a couple of options that we would be considering. One would be to start our own police department. The other would be in a more long-term capacity, partner with another school district who has a law enforcement agency, and it would be a setup similar to what we have now with DCS. And so those are the long and short-term plans that I'm working on. We'll continue to keep the board updated as more information is learned. And as each of these plans begin to develop over the next several weeks. Obviously, we have to have SROs to maintain the safety and have response when needed in our district. And so we're working hard to make sure that we have a plan in place with the question mark that's hanging with DCS. So I wanted to report that and share that information with you. Those are the 3 items that I have this evening for the superintendent's report. No, we're gonna transition there. At this time, I want to call up Ms. Fields to provide the bond update for the month.
Good evening, President McNeely, board members, and Dr. Smith, and waiting audience. It's again My privilege to bring to you the monthly bond report. Of course, just reflecting again for you and for our audience, the wonderful completion of the new construction and expanded facilities that was a part of the 2014 bond, and you see those there, our report card with our 100% status, the replacement of Acton, and that's campus was, of course, opened this past fall, and so we're thankful to our community and all the parents and stakeholders for their support of the bond. So you see the other projects there, Hastings, Hyman, and Kennemer. Of course, a part of the bond, just reflecting again of district-wide upgrades, our safety and security packages, 1 and 2 both complete, our technology packages, 1 and 2 complete there, and you see the cost and the status. And then where we are right now. The part of the 2014 bond is still moving forward with the aging facilities piece. Just reminding you that Daniel Intermediate, of course, received its upgrades for aging facilities last school year, and currently we're working with Package 1. And reminding you and refreshing your memory about Package 1, of course, this includes the renovation for many of our restroom facilities at the campuses listed there, Alexander, Central, DHS, Fair Meadows, Hardin, Maryfield, Smith, and then also at Panther Stadium. And in just a moment, when I transition to the next report, you'll see a lot of the work that has already gone forward. We're looking forward to moving into Package 2 now that we're past Thanksgiving, and there'll be some work done over the Christmas holidays, starting perhaps at Reed and Byrd. We're looking at our timeline there. And then Package 3, the fire alarm and the PA systems, you see basically almost every campus will receive an upgrade there for life safety, so we're excited about that work. It should be less intrusive. Our staff will not probably notice a lot of the work that's going to go on with Package 3, but that will be started in the spring and then go over into the summer. Additionally, Bill Hartz will receive a fire alarm along with our central kitchen, and Pace High School will also receive a new PA system. So I know the principals are behind me, and I'm sure they're probably very excited, many of them, to receive, yes, I hear you back there, to receive those. So it's still in the works, and you see the amount there, the $14.3 million. So I'm going to transition now. And while we're getting our next slide there, I did have some good news I wanted to share with the board before I move into the construction report. We received a great report from our Collegiate Academy project. Right before we got out before Thanksgiving, I received the information that we came under budget by approximately, and I want to give the exact total, $76,544,000 savings from the GMP that you approved this past summer. So we're grateful for that, and I'm sure we'll probably be thinking of some good ways to use the remaining amount of money. Isn't that right, Ms. Simmons? Moving into the construction report here by North Star. You'll see a little bit more work. Progress has been made in phase 1 at Alexander. This is some of the slides, and really these were taken a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving break, and they have made quite a bit of progress there. You see the plumbing and electrical rough in is complete, new partitions, and preparation of the floor to install the new VCT is in progress at Alexander. At Smith, same thing, phase 1, sections 1 and 3, and those are the different sections of the building that are receiving the upgrades for the restroom facilities. Of course, that will bring us into ADA compliance, which is the most important piece I probably need to mention. You see there, new partitions have been built, the floors being prepared, and the tiling and flooring installation is to be scheduled, and they did quite a bit of work over Thanksgiving, so we're moving forward at Smith. it's probably going to be completed here in the next few weeks. Renovations at Hardin, same thing. You can see a lot more work there. The tile work, a lot of the things have been installed. The tiling is complete, the flooring completed, and all of the toilet accessories and partition installed is to be scheduled. And I think they were the first campus we started with, so they'll probably be ahead of the curve here in the next few weeks. At Duncanville High School, this is in the auditorium. We started working there a few weeks ago, and of course we took a little break. We've had quite a few events there at the high school that required us to take a break, but now I think we'll be ready after the testing is done here in the next week. We'll start there at Alexander Auditorium, and that facility received a new restrooms. You see the work there. At Central, same thing. You'll see a little bit more work. Of course, you know, that's one of our, maybe our oldest campus, and so a lot of work done there to their facilities, same types of things. You see it all the way down to the studs there, and the work is moving forward. This renovation took also into consideration the expansion that had to go inside a couple of our classrooms, and so that's why you see classrooms, because they had to go in to make ADA compliance, had to take some of the space there, but the flooring will be repaired and replaced. At Fair Meadows, same thing. You can see a lot of work there. They're just getting started. There's one of the later campuses, and tiling and floor preparation scheduled the same. And looking ahead, as I said, Central and Hardin, and probably Smith will probably finish here in the next few weeks. We've made great progress there. And at Maryfield, the work did begin last week where they were able to get in there. So in phase one, package one, we've really made a lot of progress. At Panther Stadium, of course, now that football season is over, we'll begin that work probably right after the Christmas holidays. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I noticed on the central report, what is a group restroom?
They're using that term. It's the boys' restroom instead of saying the boys' restroom. Group meaning a group of a cluster of bathrooms there. So that's kind of the wording that they use. It's just the bathroom, the boys' restroom, the girls' restroom. That's basically it. Yeah, they were trying to use a word that would be more appropriate than maybe saying gang bathrooms or that kind of thing. So they use group instead. So there are many stalls in each one of those restrooms. So they just said group. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Fields. And then we'll wrap up the superintendent's report with Mr. Casey Cheshire from the Education Foundation.
Well, good evening, Dr. Smith, President McNeely, and trustees. On behalf of first of all, my name is Casey Cheshire. I'm the race director for the Heart of Duncanville 5K. And on behalf of our race committee and of the Education Foundation, I'd like to be here tonight just to personally thank each of you for your continued support of the event that occurred on October 14th of this past month. We actually set record numbers this year. We had 801 participants. We had 97 student volunteers. And we were able to raise $25,000 in net proceeds to benefit the foundation. So big round of applause there. And obviously, as you guys are well aware, this continues to allow the foundation to provide, creative teaching grants to the teachers here in the district. But honestly, we couldn't pull off this event each year without the partnership of you guys, and particularly without the partnerships of each campus, the principals, the team captains, the administrations, and a big shout out to our liaison with the district, which is Lori Behringer with the communications team. So TR, please give our gratitude to Ms. Lori for being here, or for her help there. So honestly, these individuals play a huge part to this success event. Now, I would like to recognize our award winners this year for the Heart of Duncanville 5K. I know some of them are here. If y'all hear your campus being recognized, if you'll stand. We did have, I saw her leave, but the top participating campus was Brandenburg, so if Ms. Thompson, and then Kendall Lilly was our team captain. If you give them a round of applause. For the Spirit Award, we had some pirates that were dressed up that morning from the Summit Education Center. Tarika Burns was their team captain, so please give them a round of applause as well. And then we have Heart Award winners, which those recognize individuals that go above and beyond to support the event each year. We had Noah Wavers with the Duncanville ISD Admin Plaza. She was the team captain. We had Brett Duff, who was the Duncanville High School softball coach. He actually had his entire team volunteer on particular days, multiple days for the event. And then Bird actually got very creative. They had a science team be their team captains. They had a group. We had Rita Wilson, Kimberly Horton, and Victoria Monette were the team captains there. So again, please make sure to thank those individuals. You guys, y'all should have received, this just scratches the surface of everyone that was involved with the event. You've got volunteer groups. You should have a list of all the team captains. As you're visiting those campuses, please take the time to thank these participants and these volunteers, because it's something they don't get paid for. They're just doing it out of their goodwill. So I want to thank you guys, and I'm going to turn around and I want to thank the principals as well. So y'all give them a round of applause. That's all I've got. Thank y'all.
Casey, I just want to say, too, I want to thank you, and I want to say it's really been an honor to watch it grow in the 4 years that we've been a part of it. It's just a really neat day for our town, and I want to thank you for spearheading that.
And Casey, for those who don't know, Casey is a Duncanville High School graduate on a state championship football team. 98 state champions. And many thanks to you and your mom. You, too, were the really big leaders of this. I know, I saw you. Well, she's precious. Thank you both.
We will now move into the consent agenda. All items may be acted upon at the same time by the board. Do I have a motion?
I do. Make a motion that we move item 7B from the action item to the consent agenda items.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. Now, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. We now move on to the action agenda, and the first item is a comprehensive annual financial report for 2016-2017. Dr. Smith.
All right, thank you, Madam President. I'm going to ask the audit team of Weaver and Tidwell to come up and present. While Sarah is on her way, I want to get you oriented. Board members, you have before you what we refer to as the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. You have a hard copy of that. And so Ms. Sarah here will be providing you an overview of information here and the PowerPoint that is before you. So I'll turn it over at this time to Sarah.
Thank you. President McNeely, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith, thank you very much for having me tonight. I am with Weaver and Tidwell, and this was our first year to do the audit for Duncanville ISD. We are new auditors, so we're very happy to be here. So I'll start off with some introductions about the firm, move through the audit process, the results, and then go over some financial highlights. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So Weaver does the most school district audits out of any firm in the state. We've got 600 employees, 90 partners, and we're located in Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and then out in Midland as well. For the audit process, going through the timing, we started interim fieldwork in June upon appointment, basically, and then we were out here for final fieldwork September 24th through October 13th. And so we're auditing the 2017 fiscal year. We did an exit meeting November 8th, and then we are here tonight to present. We held weekly meetings with the staff, updating them on the progress. So we're auditing the financial statements, and we're meeting with the business office, administration, and just staying coordinated during that process to meet the TEA deadline. The audits performed in accordance with generally accepted government auditing standards and generally accepted auditing standards, the same that it's always been. And then we also do a single audit because the district expends more than $750,000 in federal awards. You're required to have a single audit. During the process, it's a risk-based approach, so we look at areas that might be riskier to the district, complex areas, going through your financial statements, and then also through that internal control process. For the audit results, we did issue an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level of opinion that you can receive, and that's what you've received in the past. Some really good highlights for the audit. There were no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies to report to you. We also had no material non-compliance issues that would be reported. You can find that information also in the CAFR. There's a summary of question, costs, and findings, and this is what it looks like in there as well. For the type of report that we issued for the child nutrition program, we had an unmodified opinion there as well, meaning that we found that it was in compliance with the direct and material compliance requirements. No material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies to report, and then no findings there as well. So overall, a really great report for the audit for the district. Some financial highlights. Now, this is going back to 2017, so might not be as exciting anymore, but here's the comparison for the 2017 and 2016 revenues. You can see that still the local revenue is making up the majority, and then you also have, the state revenue is, and then for your local, 42%, 48%, and then for federal, 10% this year, very comparable to prior year. Revenues did increase $5.8 million, and this is total revenue, so we're looking at general fund, debt service, capital project, and non-major. And this was mostly due to your increasing property values this year. The state program revenue did decrease slightly, but the property values increased, so you saw a $5.5 million increase there. For your expenditures, again, a comparison to show you by function how the expenditures are being spent. You can see that 43% was towards instruction this year. Last year it was about 35%, so that's good. This year you saw a large decrease in expenditures, but again, this is over all of your funds, so a majority of that related to your capital projects fund and spending those bond proceeds. Overall, the decrease was $43.2 million, but you saw about $5 million decrease in your general fund, and that was due to the facilities acquisitions costs going down this year. I think I'm blocking it. Sorry. For your fund balance, I wanted to show you what that looked like. General fund, current year, prior year, debt service, capital projects, and your non-major funds. And you can see that fund balance did overall decrease $13 million, but that's really primarily related to your capital projects fund, which is the spending of those bond proceeds. General fund did go up $4 million.
Can you say that again, Sarah?
I did take a minute just to walk you through what that general fund balance does look like. Unassigned fund balance is what is available for the district spending, and you can see that that did increase this year compared to prior year. 39 million last year, 44 this year. Looking at expenditures, for the general fund, 108 last year, 104 million this year, so you're looking at 43% coverage, which is, it's really good. If you were to look in TEA's, what do they call it, a rule of thumb, they give a lot lower not only percentage, but I also did the months in fund balance, and you'll see that you're at 5.1. TEA recommends 2.5 months, so overall, very good news for the district. We really enjoyed working with everyone. We had a lot of help from your administration office to get the audit completed, and we do appreciate it. So thank y'all.
Questions?
No questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to consider approval of the comprehensive annual financial report for 2016, 2017?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0.
I'll read my 129 pages tonight.
We will now move into item C, Memoranda of Understandings. The first item is the Cedar Valley Community College by Dr. Hernandez.
Good evening, President McNeely, Dr. Smith, and school board trustees. If you will recall from our work session last month, we did discuss the 4 MOUs that the district is going to be engaging in over the next school year, and I wanted to recap that conversation with you once more. Our first MOU is with Cedar Valley Community College. That's an interlocal agreement. That is between our district and Duncanville High School. That is for our senior students that are in the Practicum of STEM program. That's one of our pathways that our students participate in. And of course, we will have students that are going to be going over to Cedar Valley and participating in their programs and their robotics labs over at CVC. So does anyone have any questions on this particular MOU? Okay. We'll move into our second MOU. The second MOU is the Eon Reality Entrepreneur School. That's an MOU between the district and Duncanville High School and the Eon School. If you'll recall, I mentioned last time it's the building that's over across from the Chamber of Commerce. Again, this is for our Practicum of Animation students. This is a senior level capstone course. Our students are going to be bussed over, and they'll be getting hands-on experience with things such as augmented and virtual reality, digital content workforce information, and of course they'll get practice with industry-based equipment that is vital to this particular practicum that students are going to be engaging in over at Eon Reality School. Do we have any questions on this one, on this MOU? Okay. So we'll move into our third MOU, and this is with the Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas. This is our MOU between Duncanville High School and the GSNETX. Of course, again, this is for our senior students only at this point. In future years, we do believe that we'll have juniors and seniors that will be able to participate in this program. But at this point, it's a capstone course for our students that have a STEM pathway in our programs here at the high school. Again, our students will be bussed over, and they will be receiving focus area attention in the areas of engineering, specifically in the robotics labs. Over there, potentially the Sea Perch underwater robotics program. And then, of course, our students will be going over during their 5th and 6th period double block course from the high school. Any questions on this MOU? No? Okay. And then our final MOU is between, again, Duncanville High School and the Duncanville Hilton Garden Inn. This is the Culinary Arts Program. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this program. This program is going to increase our students' awareness and knowledge of culinary fields. If you're familiar with the programs at some of our local universities, such as UNT and El Centro, they have major programs that lead up to bachelor's programs. So the practicums that our students are getting at the high school are now going to be further enhanced by our relationship with the Duncanville Hotel Garden Inn. And I know many of you have been there for evening programs, so that's where a lot of our students will be getting a lot of their information and a lot of their practicum in the kitchens, of course, in the back, but also in front as far as banqueting and things of that nature. So that's going to be for that MOU. Do you have any questions on this MOU?
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez.
All right, thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the 4 memorandum of understandings that were presented by Dr. Hernandez? The first one being through Cedar Valley Community College, the second one being through Eon Reality, the third one being from Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas, and the fourth one being from Duncanville Hilton Garden Inn.
So moved.
Second.
Didn't we already vote on that? We didn't?
No.
We didn't include C? Okay, just B.
Just,
Okay, consent, okay.
okay. So do I have a motion? Tom? Tom made the motion.
And I
Bill
seconded.
seconded. Oh, Tom and Jan, okay. Tom made the motion and Janice seconded. All those, any discussions now? Questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. We will now move on to the information section. The first presenter will be our an update on our proximity learning, Ms. Kathleen Brown.
Good evening, President McNeely, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. It is my pleasure this evening to give you an update on proximity learning and the implementation thus far. I'd first like to take the opportunity to thank you for giving our students at Duncanville High School this opportunity. In the past, we've talked about the shortage statewide with teachers, and so we are excited that our students are having an opportunity to embark upon this blended learning environment. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through some of the key steps that have happened during the implementation process. So we'll start in October. On October 27th, DHS, Duncanville High School, the campus administration, screened all of the applicants. We opened up the application pool after you voted to have proximity learning here in the district, and we had an abundance of applicants to apply, and we were excited about that. I'll remind you that the digital facilitator are those individuals who are in the classroom monitoring students as students are interacting digitally with a certified teacher. On October 31st, the digital facilitators were interviewed by the staff at Duncanville High School, and from that group, 4 were selected to be facilitators. On November 2nd, those facilitators received training face-to-face with proximity learning, so they came out into the high school and trained them face-to-face on what they could expect, gave them an opportunity to ask questions, and got to know the facilitators so that they would be prepared. Now, our facilitators had experience with students already. They were individuals who had been substitute teaching in our district, and so 2 of those facilitators had actually been subbing in those classrooms, and so they understood at a much higher level, and so they were very critical in helping the other 2 facilitators to learn about what they should expect. On November 7th, the facilitators started in their new role at Duncanville High School. You'll notice that they started November 7th, and proximity learning had not started yet with the students. That was very strategic in nature. Dr. Smith wanted to make sure that the facilitators had an opportunity to get to know the students prior to having their first day in the classroom. So they spent some time visiting those classrooms, have an opportunity to start forming those relationships that are key when interacting with the students on a daily basis. On November 8th, the high school held a parent orientation for proximity learning. If you'll recall, we talked about that one of the key points with this, since it was new and different, was to communicate. And so parents had the opportunity to come out. Proximity learning had staff here in the district as well, where parents had an opportunity to experience what their students will experience or are experiencing each day with proximity learning. They also had an opportunity to ask questions and get to meet the facilitators face-to-face that would be interacting with their students. On November 10th, all the technology processes set up and training was complete. That was our target date. Our technology department was critical in working to make sure that everything was up and running. They tested everything, and they were at the high school on the day of implementation as well to assist. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention the work of our library media specialists at Duncanville High School. They were exceptional in helping and making sure that everything, they know every nook and cranny at the high school, how that technology is supposed to function, what can get through our filters, what cannot get through, and so they were critical in making sure that that was on board as well. So on November 13th, we launched day one of proximity learning with the students at Duncanville High School. And during that week, the students have had an opportunity to have their online training. And another critical piece was that they were going to do an assessment to start out so that the proximity learning teacher knew exactly where they are and where they needed to go. So as you can see, the students these are actual pictures from Duncanville High School of students doing that online assessment, them in the classroom, and some of our administrators going out. Monitoring has been very important, and so on a daily basis, you'll find administrators going into those classrooms and making sure that everything is running as planned. So our next steps in the process, first and foremost, we're going to continue to monitor and support, making sure that our students are successful in this blended learning environment. We are also going to continue to make sure that there is alignment. Of course, the teacher is not physically here, and so our teachers have the benefit of sitting in those professional learning communities and having that face time together. And so the administrative team is working very diligently to make sure that what's happening in those classrooms are aligned with what's happening in all of our classrooms. And most importantly, we're going to continue to communicate with our students, because their feedback is critical, so that we'll know if this is working for them. And how they are enjoying or disliking pieces, and so we'll get that feedback. Parents, of course, as they are having any questions, are able to communicate directly with the staff. We'll continue our relationship of communicating with proximity learning as well. So I'll be happy to answer any questions about the update on proximity learning.
How many students are enrolled in this?
711. 711 students are participating in proximity learning.
Do you have a breakdown on girls versus boys?
I don't, but we can get that for you.
Just looking at the picture, I just noticed there was one girl and 4 guys.
The picture that we took.
And I just wondered if the girls were as interested as the guys are. That's the reason for the question.
Well, actually, these students were in class already together. And so since they were in class together, that may be a picture that we took, but we can definitely get a breakdown. Absolutely.
What courses are offered?
We're offering English 3. We're offering chemistry, and what's the last? Geometry.
And the kids have to come to school to take these courses, right? They can't do it off campus?
Absolutely, to get that face-to-face. So it's set up just like the other classes. When the bell rings and they go to that block, the teacher is there. He are there digitally, and so they have to be present. Now, they can access and go back to access instruction after, which is a benefit. So when you're in a traditional classroom, you can't go back and ask your teacher, or see the instruction again. They have the benefit of doing that.
Cool, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Refresh my memory, the facilitators, they're not certified teachers, is that right?
No, sir. We gave priority to those who potentially had certifications, and so a couple of them do. It's not in the areas in which we need it, but they are not certified in that particular area. The proximity learning teachers are.
What kind of participation do we have in parent orientation?
I'll let Ms. Simmons.
Did they physically come up here?
Yes,
and
sir.
interact?
They physically came to the campus for the orientation. I don't have a number exactly, but
I'm just curious, out of 700, I just wondered.
yes. Now, when I followed up with the campus, I know that every parent did not come, but I know that there were parents who came out and they were able to get their questions answered. The good thing about it also is that the high school is extending that opportunity, not just that one time, so that if parents, as they go through the process or their kids come home and talk about it, then they'll be able to have face-to-face interaction with that teacher as well. So.
What kind of reports are we going to get on this in the future so that we know it's working?
Well, one of the things that we'll look at some of the same things that we look at as far as our students. We're going to look at their data first to make sure that their data is what we expect from our students. And so as we're looking at the assessments and everything that the district would give everyone else, those students will be participating as well. So the data points will be important. And outside of that, proximity learning will be able to give us data and reports on how much our students are interacting outside of school. Like, are they logging in and working on tasks and things outside? So that'll be critical in us knowing if that's a need that we can implement elsewhere as well.
This is all under the principal at the high school?
not just the principal by herself, her team, the department chairs at the high school have been critical in that as well, because they know the content and the alignment very well for their respective areas like the geometry or the English department. So the library media specialists have a piece, the administration has a piece, and the other teachers of that content also have a piece. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You may have already answered this, but I just want, I can't remember. A parent wants to notify, like, their student is having difficulty in a skill concept. And if there were a teacher, their first step would be to contact that teacher for a conference. Do they contact the facilitator first or the teacher in proximity learning?
Yes, the proximity learning teacher doesn't work directly for us. So all of our facilitators have computer access. They have a laptop, they have email. So the parents are able to have that as their first line of contact. And then they are able to speak, though, directly to the proximity learning teacher. That just has to be set up. And so that facilitator acts as the liaison to make sure that that happens.
I'm assuming we have some of these courses that are taught simultaneously with regular teachers, classrooms such as that.
Yes.
It would be interesting as time goes on to see the comparison of grades from this method of teaching versus classroom teaching. Just be curious to see how they compare.
Absolutely. We can definitely look at that data point. When we embarked on looking at different opportunities for our students, one of the things that, if you recall, impressed us about proximity learning was their success rate with students. So we can definitely look at that. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you for this opportunity for our students, and we look forward to giving you more information in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, and don't sit down, because the next item on the agenda is for strategic goal number 4.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, and so, as you know, we each month at the board meeting update the board on the various strategic goals that we have here in the district. And so tonight I will be updating you on strategic goal number 4. So goal 4 is a focus on employees and organizational improvement. And so the 3 objectives of this goal are listed here. The first one is to attract, recruit, and effectively induct the best staff for student success. Objective 2 is to recognize and retain staff members who exemplify the district's mission, vision, and values. And objective 3 is to provide professional development opportunities that are aligned with district goals and allow differentiation to meet individual staff and student needs. So just to update you on some of the things that have happened within this goal, as you all know, on April 29th, our district held a job fair. We hadn't had a job fair in a while in our district, a district job fair, and we had over 700 applicants that registered and attended the job fair. One of the things that we really liked about this job fair is we wanted to make sure that it did not just have teachers. A lot of places have only teacher job fairs, and so at our job fair we were inclusive of all departments, so auxiliary staff, auxiliary applicants, as well as those who wanted to be paraprofessionals or who may have been interested in being administrators, nurses, counselors were invited to attend. So over 50 of our new hires this year were recruited right here at our own district job fair. And so as we attend job fairs, we compare the data to how many people we're actually getting from that. And so that's a great number for us. And so we are looking forward and already gearing up for the job fair for this spring. So Duncanville ISD, we have a recruitment team. This was something that was very, very important to me and as the HR person here for the district, to make sure that individuals, as we go out to recruit, that they get to see the people who actually do the work. And so our recruitment team is made up of 27 individuals here in our district. It's teachers, administrators, a variety of people in our district. And so the team goes out, well, they're trained first, and then they go out and they participate in the job fairs that we attend. And so we've attended job fairs this past year at neighboring colleges and universities such as UNT, TWU, UT, Texas A&M, Texas State, Baylor, the list goes on and on. And we've also been participating in virtual job fairs. And so that was something new for us this year. It's kind of like proximity learning. So we have an opportunity to talk face-to-face with applicants while we're here in Duncanville, and they are wherever they are. And so we participated in a couple of those last year, and we're looking forward to participating in more virtual job fairs this year. Another opportunity that we've had is that we've participated in BESO, which is the Bilingual ESL Education Student Organization. And so if you're a human resources person, you wait on that email to come out because the first few people who respond have the opportunity to participate. And you all know that is a very difficult, hard to fill position for us, our certified bilingual teachers. And so Duncanville, for the 4th consecutive year, has again been selected to participate in BESO. So we are excited about that as well. So already this year, the recruitment team has attended 3 job fairs this fall. And those job fairs, we've been looking for those difficult to fill positions like physics and different positions like that. And so we have some very promising candidates that we're looking to come out in December. The next piece under Goal 4 is our new employee induction and substitute orientation. So I'll tell you that we've done some revamping to our orientations this last year, both for our substitutes and for our new employees that are coming into the district. So our new hire orientation is facilitated by 2 of our fabulous staff members in the HR department, Ms. Melanie Taylor and Mr. Wanza Mora. And those are their little, I can't remember what they're called, Bitmojis or, yeah, emoji. Avatars, okay. And so the feedback that we've received from the orientation has been exceptional. One of the things that we've also done is we've increased the number of substitute orientations that we have. Now, ASOP, which is the substitute system we use, they tell us year after year that we have a great sub-fill rate, but it was in the 80s, and that was not okay with us. Dr. Smith has raised the bar for everything, and so we have a substitute orientation about every 3 weeks here in the district, and so we've increased our substitute pool to 308 current substitutes, which is almost double the number that we had when I first started here in HR, and we are sitting at a 95% substitute fill rate in the district, and so we have people reaching out to figure out what are we doing. So kudos to our principals here behind me because they are exceptional in making sure that those positions are filled at their campuses. The final thing I'll leave you with as far as induction is concerned is that when you come to orientation, you have the opportunity to see our superintendent and his welcome video, and so I'd like to share that with you at this time.
Welcome to Duncanville Independent School District, where we write success stories one student at a time. That's an immense responsibility with an enrollment of more than 12,000 students. But you are here today because we think you have the talent to make a difference in the lives of our students. Each of us plays a crucial role, from bus drivers to counselors to custodians and librarians. Every student in Duncanville ISD deserves the best, and that includes top quality teachers capable of providing an extraordinary education. Our families expect nothing less for their children. Our families have high expectations because of Duncanville's long-standing history of excellence, whether it's in the classroom, where we produce national merit scholars, or in sports, where we bring home multiple state championships, including the reigning 6A girls basketball state championship. Duncanville ISD simply has a championship mindset, and we are truly the city of champions. That means we set goals, we determine how to achieve them, and we rise to the challenge. That hard work and dedication is on display Friday nights when the award-winning Duncanville High School Marching Band takes the field at halftime. It's also seen in the students who run the digital display board on professional grade equipment, as well as the scholars who create underwater search robots for the fire department. Duncanville High School graduates include Texas Governor Greg Abbott, an Olympic gold medalist and WNBA champion Tamika Catchings. Their talents were grown right here in Duncanville. Now it's your turn to inspire our next generation of students. What will you do to motivate students to go further and to do more than they ever thought possible? The next step is yours. I want to thank you for accepting the challenge and joining the Duncanville ISD family.
So I wanted to share that with you, so you have an opportunity to see what our employees see. And so it's important to us that they learn a little bit about the district that they are choosing to become part of. And so they always get excited about seeing the superintendent's video. The next piece is our employee appreciation event that you are a critical part of. And so annually, the district hosts an employee appreciation banquet to recognize our staff for their contributions to the organization. Last year, we recognized staff who are out of this world for their years of service to the district, those who exemplify the spirit of a champion, and our district and campus teachers of the year, as well as our retirees for their countless years of service. And so we're already, again, gearing up for this event as well. Okay. Along with employee recognition, as you witnessed tonight and at all board meetings, the district recognizes an employee, a staff member, a teacher, and a student every month with Made with Pride in Duncanville. This last year, we started something also to recognize our substitutes, and so we have an annual cupcake social for our substitutes. The substitutes have an opportunity to come and eat cupcakes, and it's sort of like a baby shower. We play games, and there are door prizes, all of those things, and we just commend them for the great job that they do in making sure that our students have a person with them every single day, and that is so important. And so they've already been asking what day the cupcake social is for this year, and so we are working on that. Also, we've been we focus a lot on student attendance, but if students are here, we need to be here as well, and so staff attendance is a point that we are looking at this year, and our staff has done an excellent job, our department heads, our principals, in making sure that our staff is at work each and every day. And just like the substitute fill rate, our staff at most of our campuses and department are in the 90s with their attendance at every single campus and department. And constantly we're looking for ways to recognize our outstanding auxiliary employees as well. And last but not least, under goal number 4 is professional development. So Duncanville ISD has established professional learning communities at all the campuses, and those are what we often refer to as PLCs. And those are designed to foster personal and professional growth. Ultimately, it's to increase student achievement. So when those individuals get together to have that interaction, it's about focusing on students and them being successful. It also gives them an opportunity to support the innovative practices that we have here in the district and giving them that job-embedded, timely PD. A lot of times individuals will go off to professional development. You come back and we're not knowing if what you learned you're implementing. PLCs give us the opportunity to see day-to-day what's happening. Also, thanks to you, we have teacher specialists who are continuing to assist and facilitate learning with our teachers at all of our campuses. Those specialists are continuing to build relationships with the teachers at their respective campuses. And they're also doing other things as far as assisting campus teachers with getting things set in their classroom, helping them come up with plans to meet the needs of our students. In addition, most recently, our teacher specialists, in partnership with our content coordinators, have been offering content-specific professional development before and after school each month, and that began in October. And that PD has been differentiated to meet the needs of all of those learners, and we've received some really good feedback with that new endeavor, thanks to Dr. Hernandez and his department. So that is strategic goal number 4, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. We will now move on to the next item, campus improvement plans. Dr. Hernandez.
Good evening again, Ms. Neely, Dr. Smith, and school board members. This evening, we'd like to have a conversation with you around our campus improvement planning process. Every year, our campuses in the district get an opportunity to work with the members of their teams. Every principal, our principals on their campuses get to meet with their teams and really look at and analyze their data from previous years. You've heard since the month of August about our student achievement data, and we presented that to you multiple times. But today's conversation is going to be around what our campuses are doing with that data in terms of creating improvement plans for each one of our campuses in the district. So you're going to hear from 3 different audience members this evening. The first person you're going to hear from is from one of our elementary principals, Ms. Tanji Taus, who's going to be presenting the elementary campus improvement plan process. and what areas of strength and areas of improvement that we are focusing on in the district, followed by Ms. Tia Simmons, who's going to be presenting our secondary campus improvement plans, and she will be speaking to the process that they have followed in terms of creating the CIPs for the district. Finally, you'll be hearing from Ms. Stephanie Bonneau, who is our Director of Accountability and Assessment, and she'll be bringing to you the PBMAS report. We'd like to have a discussion with you on the PBMAS report, what it is, and some of our strengths and some gains that we made this year, which I think are really important and that calls for celebration. So we will open today's conversation with our elementary principal, Ms. Tanji Tao. She's the principal from Merrifield Elementary, who will be presenting on the elementary campus improvement plan process. Ms. Towles.
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. Good evening, Board President McNeely, Dr. Smith, and Board of Trustees. Thank you for this opportunity to allow me to share our campus improvement planning process for the elementary and intermediate schools. Okay, so for the campus improvement planning process, we start with the site-based decision-making teams. The site-based decision-making teams are comprised of teachers, administrators, parents, and often district-level employees. The site-based decision-making committees are charged with the task of developing the campus improvement plan, reviewing the campus improvement plan, and revising the campus improvement plan throughout the year because it is a continuous working document. Part of the campus improvement plan development process, there's 4 critical components. The first area is the comprehensive needs assessment. So at the elementary and intermediate schools, we look at the student achievement and we also analyze our instructional programs. So regarding student achievement, we look at our STAR scores, which is our data. We also look at our TELPUS scores, and we look at our universal screener scores, which is iStation. And we use that for math and reading at the elementary and intermediate levels. The second area that we analyze when developing our campus improvement plan is our goals. So we look at our district goals as well as our campus performance goals. And then after we analyze our goals, we have to create objectives, strategies, and a timeline of implementation. The third area that we analyze is the professional development and also parental involvement. How are we involving our parents in our campus improvement plans? And the last area that we analyze is our Title I expenditures. And each of our Title I expenditures are clearly outlined as a need and are directly correlated with the goal. So those are the 4 main components that we analyze when creating our campus improvement plans. Once we have established the objectives, the strategies, and the timeline, we have to ensure that all of our goals are tied into what we call critical success factors. And there are 7 critical success factors. Each goal is either tied into academic performance, quality data, leadership effectiveness, increased learning time, family and community engagement, school climate, and teacher quality. So once we create the strategies, every strategy is tied into one of these critical success factors. Throughout this process, it's very important that we not only create our goals and strategies, but we also have to analyze them and monitor them throughout the year. And so these are the 4 points throughout the school year that we analyze formative and summative assessments of our goals. So we look for evidence of progress in November, which we just completed. In January, also in April, those are our 3 points of contact as far as the formative assessments. And then our summative assessments for our campus improvement plans are completed in June. I've included an example campus improvement plan instructional strategy. Target area would be math, and so it would read, students are identified for small group instruction support based upon the current levels of achievement through RTI services. So each of our elementary and intermediate campuses, we provide response to intervention services for our students. And so this would be an example of a goal that will be included in our campus improvement plan. Next is an instructional strategy. The target area would be writing. Writing is a critical component for our campuses as well as throughout the district. And so an example strategy would include to plan and incorporate an increased number of modeled writing, guided writing, shared writing, and dependent writing throughout the writing process, including mentoring texts. And so again, this is an example of an instructional strategy that's included in our campus improvement plans. In closing, at the elementary and intermediate level, all of our campus improvement plans, our goals, our strategies, and our timelines, they're all aligned to the district goals. Goal 1, which is student success. Goal 2, which is students, families, and community. Goal 3, operational excellence. Goal 4, organizational improvement. And then Goal 5, financial stewardship. And that includes the process that the elementary and intermediate schools use to create our campus improvement plans. Are there any questions?
On your campus improvement teams, the group you bring together, how do you break that down between parents, community people, teachers, such?
We try to do at least a third of teachers. We always try to include at least 2 to 4 parent volunteers. And then we also invite district level leaders, so kind of a third, and a third.
Do you find that the parents towards the maybe second and third meetings are still as involved as they were in the first meeting?
They are ecstatic. They love attending our campus improvement plans. When our parents are on our committee, actually, Ms. Smith is my parent, is one of my major parents that's on my committee. And when she attends our campus improvement plan meetings, she learns so much about the campus, the instructional strategies that we're providing for the kids, the trainings that we're offering for our teachers. And so then we get input from them also as far as parental involvement activities. How can we create more activities to involve the parents? So we get really good feedback from our parents that are on our committees.
That's good, thank you.
It's a great partnership.
So do you meet 4 times a year with your committee? Like you just finished November, so you'll be meeting soon?
Yes,
probably?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We meet 4 times a year throughout the committee. Of course, some campuses, they could meet more, but 4 times a year is the minimum number of times that we can meet to do the formative and summative assessments. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, you'll hear from Ms. Tia Simmons, who will be presenting on the secondary campus improvement plans. And as Ms. Simmons comes up, board members, I will remind you that we sent you a one-page document on the weekly superintendent's board briefing 2 weeks ago, and that showed you how to get into the Plan for Learning software. That's where we house all our campus improvement plan documents. So if you will recall those documents, we can assure you and have a conversation with you if you want us to help you look at those. But those were given to you about 2 weeks ago. We'll hear from Ms. Simmons next.
Good evening, Board President McNeely, trustees, and Dr. Smith. Thank you all for the opportunity to share our process at the secondary level. Our process is very similar to that which occurs at the elementary level. As you can see, we too create a team, our site-based decision-making committee, and they assemble to review and revise because our document is also a living document and changes based on our needs. This committee also gives us feedback on our funding sources and how we intend to spend our money and how we plan to allocate for campus improvements and instructional improvements. We also work to make sure that we are aligned with the district goals and objectives. As a part of our campus improvement planning process, there are 10 required components for school-wide improvement plans. There has to be a campus needs assessment, and I'll discuss that with you further. That happens typically in July for us. Any school-wide reform strategies that need to be addressed, highly qualified teachers, the ongoing professional development, which was also discussed at the elementary level, strategies to attract highly qualified teachers, which Ms. Brown spoke to earlier with the recruiting, the ongoing recruiting processes from her team and their support, means to increase our parental involvement, and then ensuring that there is a strategic transition plan from students moving from the elementary campuses, from early childhood programs up to the elementary programs. Measures to include our teachers in the decision-making process. So at the secondary level, our teams are likely to be larger. The magnitude of the collaboration is very exciting and exponential. For example, on my campus, we have, it is my expectation that every administrator sits on that committee because they all have areas of responsibility that they need to be able to speak to in this planning opportunity. We also have leadership from each department. Our teacher leaders also sit on the committee to make sure that we have a voice from across the campus, and thereby we ensure that we have teachers included in the decision-making process. And then we always want to look at the timely assistance for our students who are in need and how we monitor that. And then, of course, we want to look at our federal, state, and local services and programs. These programs would include our focus on CTE, special education, and our bilingual ESL programs. So as a part of our process, I stated earlier that we begin with a campus needs assessment. And this usually happens in July, and it's following that summative meeting that she just spoke about in June. So in July, we come back and we look at our reports. That's typically when we get our accountability information back. So we're looking at a plethora of data from state and local assessments to nationally normed assessments, how are students performing, and what do they look like as compared to the state and the nation. What is our attendance rate? What is our discipline rate? What qualitative data do we have from surveys? And we divide this up and we review all of this data to best determine what our needs and our focus areas will be. From those needs and the identification of those goals and focal points is where we begin to build our campus improvement plan. So we talk about what strategies do we need to plan for and execute, and what activities need to occur on our campus to make sure we are meeting the goal. And then, of course, the program evaluation. So we too have a minimum requirement to meet 4 times a year. Right now at the high school, we have met monthly to review our plan, just to make sure that, again, it's a living document. And so we want to make sure that we are including and adding as we identify and recognize other needs and opportunities, and to bring those teacher teams in to have their voice and their input. And so here are the 5 steps. This is what our campus needs assessment process looks like. And so typically, we would begin with just reviewing our data, discussing the purpose of the needs assessment, and ensuring that everyone present understands that the needs assessment is what's going to drive the goal development and the strategies. We want to make sure that we have established committees. And so, for example, at the high school, we are divided up based on the data. So there's one group that's looking at qualitative data, one group that's looking at assessment data, someone else is looking at safety, someone else is looking at discipline. And so we're divided up in committees to review this, and then we report back to the larger group. Then we determine what we're going to analyze and how it should be measured, and this is what helps us move to step 3 helps us move into step 4, which is to prioritize. As you can imagine, in that environment, we're able to identify so many needs, but in order for us to be successful and move the team and the campus forward, we really have to be strategic and prioritize about what will we focus on, what are going to be our big rocks this year, and this happens at step 4. And then at step 5, we want to connect our needs assessment, of course, to the district and campus goals. And so, as shared earlier, and as you know, we have 5 goals across the district, and of course that is what the campus is aligned to. And so based on our needs and our identified priorities, we begin to build our goals and align them with the district goals. And so here are the goals, and this discusses them being SMART goals. And so for them to be SMART goals, we want to make sure that they are specific, that they are measurable, they're attainable, that we've identified the resources and the timetable, the timelines for completion and meeting of these goals. And of course, we want to make sure that we have aligned with our campus and our district mission and vision. For the strategies, to plan of action, so this goes into the overall goal, and then we identify strategies and objectives, steps that we need to take to meet the goal along the way. We identify who's going to be responsible for them to make sure that they are manageable and that we have monitoring systems. For example, 113 in our campus improvement plan is to improve the performance of students who receive special education services by appropriately incorporating and monitoring the use of accommodations and modifications in Tier 1 instruction. And so this is one step that we're taking in a larger goal, which our goal is reflective of what we expect to show as an increase in our accountability report. So the timeline for completion is, of course, next July, because that's when we receive our accountability report. However, this is one action step that we are taking as a campus to contribute to the success of meeting that goal. So again, under our action steps, as the example that I just shared with you, it has to be a detailed step-by-step process, which is outlined there in our plan. We identify the people or the persons who will be responsible, what resources are needed, and then of course we want to know what are going to be our checkpoints for progress monitoring, the completion date, and then what will be our evidence of impact. And for the implementation, and the monitoring, this is what we do when we come back together as a committee to make sure that we are doing what we said we would do. And then at the end, when we have that summative meeting, did it make a difference? Sometimes we have to have this conversation before we make it to the summative meeting. And again, it's a living and breathing document. And so if we have a goal and we have outlined strategies and action steps, but we, in our progress checks, identify that we are not hitting the mark along the way, we may need to adjust. And here's our opportunity to do that when we're monitoring for impact. This is an actual example from the high school plan. Just to show you the monitoring systems. And so here you see again the November, the January, the April, and the June. And then you see the key there for the accomplished. Right now, if you were to check in our plan, you will note green checks across the way for the strategy number 1. If you notice the date there for strategy number 1, it had a completion date of October 20. And so our goal here was by October 20 to have met and reviewed data with all of our students who are going to be retesting in December. And so that is why, although we have checkpoints throughout the year, this will show already completed because of the expected completion date here. But this is an example of the key in the monitoring. At the high school, we have our own targeted areas of focus. And so, as my mom sometimes would say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So although every campus in the district is aligning to the 5 goals, we all have different focal points and we have different action steps that we're taking to meet our respective campus goals. But at the high school, we're focusing on Tier 1 instruction. Bless you. We're focusing on Tier 1 instruction with walkthroughs and PLCs and coaching and feedback for our teachers. We also have a really strong focus on the manner in which we analyze our data. And so there's discussion, there's verbiage in our plan about the analyzing of data and making sure that people are properly trained and that we're working on an ongoing basis, because the data and how we respond to the data is what guides our process for meeting our goals. And then, of course, we have a really big focus campus-wide on reducing the number of end-of-course retesters. It's a graduation requirement, and so in our plan, you'll see funding sources identified, roles identified with our teacher specialists, with our department chairs and our administrators to support the ongoing efforts for meeting our goals with boot camps and interventions in class and out of class. And at this time, I will entertain any questions that you may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
And then finally this evening, you'll hear from from Ms. Stephanie Bonneau, our Director of Accountability and Assessment. She's going to be bringing to you the PBMAS report for the district.
President McNeely, Dr. Smith, Board of Trustees, thank you so much for having me this evening. Everything is kind of built up to the anchor piece, which is the PBMAS report. I'm going to go over in the beginning just kind of what PBMAS is and how it's measured, and then we'll talk about some things that are specific to Duncanville. So PBMAS is a state measure. It's the way that the state measures how our students are and our special populations are performing based on their EOC, our STAR data. It looks at special education students, English language learners, career and technology education students, our CTE students, and our Title I students, which are our low-income students. The intent behind the PBMAS report is to ensure that there's equity in the learning and teaching for all of our student groups. It impacts district instruction directly, and it has the potential to impact the allocation of our resources, especially through the special ed department. One important thing to note is it's not necessarily a comparison of how our special populations are performing in comparison to any student who is not in one of those special populations. The state looks at those performance numbers for just special ed or just English language learners in isolation. So it's just how they perform. So the measure that the state uses is called a performance level. The performance levels are what show actually on the PBMAS report, and what the way that the state arrives at the performance level is they take the total number of tests taken and divide it by into the number of students in that special population, and they find out what the number is. So if you have 70 students that pass and 100 students that took it, then you would have a 70% pass rate. They would put that into the chart that you see at the bottom of the slide, and that would tell you what the performance level indicator is. So PL0 is the best score that you can get, and it goes all the way up to a performance level 3. So the goal is to have the lowest number possible. Based on the performance levels, districts are staged. Staging is done through the state. They stage you at a 0 through a 4. Stage 3 and 4 requires improvement plans to be submitted to the state for approval, and then the state monitors, TEA monitors the plan. Stage 2 requires a local plan be developed for continued and improved success, and be prepared to be submitted to the state upon request. And Stage 1 requires monitoring of the system to ensure that the students continue to be successful. So we're in a good place in Duncanville this year. With our English language learners, we're at a Stage 2. Career and technology education, we're at a 2. Our ESSA students, which is our low socioeconomic students, are at a Stage 1. And our special education students are at a Stage 2. So we're going to dig a little bit into our English language learners and our special education. Those are both areas that we've seen improvement. Oops, one too far. There we go. So our bilingual ESL program, some cause for celebration. So we had increases in math for almost every category, an increase in science in elementary, intermediate, and middle school levels. Science was one of our targeted areas last year in the PBMAS plan. So those programs worked, and we saw improvement. Our LET, which is our English language learners, year after exit, so the ones that have just gotten out of the program, met standard in all content areas, which is amazing. The areas for continued focus, writing is an area of growth for all of our ESL students in every category. Our students who are English language learners that take EOC, so our high school students, scores indicate that they need additional support in most content areas. And our ESL students whose parents have declined services are struggling, which is an area of focus for us this year. These 4 charts tell you track over the last 3 years our performance for each of our ESL populations. So you have bilingual 3 through 8 in the top left-hand corner, and then ESL 3 through 8 next to that, and below that is our ESL students who are not served, who have declined services, and next to that are our EOC takers. So if you look, we have a science increase in most categories. If you look at our bilingual 3 through 8, we have an increase in science, an increase in math, and they held steady in writing. We have increases in writing with our ESL students in grades 3 through 8, and an increase in writing in our LEP students as well. Special education is an area that we can say we're very successful in comparison to where we were last year. Last year we were at stage 3. Stage 3 meant that we had to write the plan, submit it to TEA. We implemented some strategies, and based on those strategies, we're now at stage 2. We've improved. Our special education year after exit grades 3 through 8 have improved in math, reading, and science. Our EOC math scores reflect some improvement as well. Areas of continued focus. So we have a continued need for growth in English language arts, math, and science for our special education students at all levels, which we've addressed in our plan for this year. Writing is an area of concern for all students in this population as well, when we've developed a plan that will address writing for all of our students through Tier 1 instruction at all grade levels. These are the same charts for our special education. So you can see when you look at the comparison between the 2016 district rate and 2017 district rate, that pretty much across the board, everything went up. We had some drastic gains in some areas, but there was gain in or holding steady in most areas. Our PBMAS plan is put together by a team. We tried to get input from all of our internal stakeholders. So we had directors, coordinators, we had content facilitators, we had campus administration from each grade level kind of cluster. And then we asked for feedback from all of our principals, and then we presented the plan to our principals. We had 3 primary areas that we're addressing. So we're reading and writing grades 3 through 8, reading and writing grades 9 through 12, and our ESL parent denials of service. So the reading and writing grades 3 through 8 we're addressing through a balanced literacy program. That will help with reading and writing. It will help with all the content areas, and it will benefit all of our students, special ed, ELL, and just our student body. Help their scores to come up. In grades 9 through 12, we're looking at a cross-curricular reading and writing plan that ensures that reading and writing are taught in every content area, which will help improve content scores as well as help in the reading and writing area. Our ESL parent denials of service come up with a plan to help address some of the root causes of our denials, some reasons that parents are not signing their students up for the ESL services. So that's it. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question. In testing the special ed population, are the tests exactly the same for, say, a Down syndrome's child as, say, someone in 504 with ADD, or is it different, or is it?
So there are 2 kinds of tests that can be taken.
Okay.
Almost all of our students take the regular STAR or EOC test at the grade level in which they're enrolled. So every freshman student, regardless of their whether they're special ed or they're 504 or what have you, would take the English 1 test. There is a STAR Alt test that is offered by the state for a very small population of students who need very specialized instruction, which may fall under the type of student that you're speaking of.
Thank you.
Okay. I check with my special ed person, make sure I answered that correctly.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What would a parent's objection be to having their student helped with an ESL?
So there are a couple of reasons that kind of came out through our research. One is that because of requirements by the state and how we have to test students for them to qualify for ESL services, especially at the elementary level, they're placed in a class that's not a bilingual class. And then once they test and they qualify, then they would be moved to the bilingual class where they would receive the services. But by then they have developed a bond with the teacher and the class, and they don't want to switch classes. So that's one. A lot of times with the parents, they feel like there's a stigma attached to their student by being labeled as ESL. And so they don't understand the benefits of receiving the services, and they decline for that reason as well. Those are the two of the major ones.
To me, it's incredible that a parent would deny that, but whatever.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Members of the board, again tonight, we appreciate the opportunity to engage you in a conversation regarding our elementary campus improvement plans, our secondary campus improvement plans, and our PBMAS report. At this time, we open up for any type of question that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. I just want to say that the amount of work and efforts that we're doing is incredible, and I just commend everybody who's involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just go ahead and stay
I'm
up
gonna stay
here.
up here again,
because
yes.
Now it's your turn to talk about the Dallas Community Scholarships.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, again, we bring to you the Rising Star Program presentation. This evening, that presentation is going to be brought to you by Dr. Kimberly Gilmore-Matkins. She's our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and she'll continue the conversation on this program and bring you information on this item.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Smith, and Board of Trustees. It's a pleasure to stand before you this evening to update you on one more way that Duncanville ISD is preparing students for post-secondary college and career. The Rising Star Scholarship Program, which is established by the DCCCD, offers financial assistance to students who enroll in the DCCCD in the upcoming school year. The scholarship provides assistance with academic support, career development, tuition, and books. Who's eligible to participate in this program? It's any high school senior who graduates with a 2.5 grade point average from an eligible public high school, Dallas Can Academy, and a charter. Students also have to meet a certain eligibility criteria in order to have the opportunity to participate in the program, and that range of income is listed here on this chart. How do students apply? Students are required to complete an admissions application with the DCCCD. They have to complete a Rising Star application, as well as complete a transcript and submit a federal student aid application. And finally, they must schedule a visit to meet with the Rising Star advisor for the DCCCD. Last year, we had 61 students at DHS to participate or to submit applications for the program. 20 of those students received the scholarship, and those students are now attending Mountain View and/or Eastville College. This year, our goal is to make sure that more students take advantage of the program. So the Curriculum Instruction Department, as well as the College and Career Readiness Department and Duncanville High School, have devised a plan to increase awareness of this scholarship opportunity. Just before Thanksgiving break, the high school participated in an application drive, and this week our DHS college advisors will be holding Rising Star presentations during all lunches. A DHS administrator has also been assigned to oversee this process. In June, the chief of schools will receive a summary analysis report that outlines the number of seniors who enroll in DCCCD in the fall of 2018 and the number of students who actually receive the scholarship program. And then after that, the Curriculum and Instruction Department, College and Career Readiness Department, and DHS We'll utilize these results to outline plans for the upcoming school year so that we can make sure more students take advantage of this scholarship program. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
And I was trying to go back to the data that you had up here, and I can't get to it, but I think you said 60 kids applied, only 20 were accepted.
Correct.
What was the reason the 40 weren't?
Let's see, I'm going to go back to the screen here. Several had incomplete applications, and a lot of times when you're submitting your information, if your federal student aid is not, the application is not completed correctly, you're denied. Several of the applications were incomplete, so DHS with the college advisors are working to make sure that when the students apply, all of their information goes in. And so that's how we're hoping to catch more kids and to get their information so that it can go in as a complete application.
Okay, those 40 kids that didn't get accepted, can they go back and redo their applications, correct the deficiencies, and reapply?
I'm not sure, but I can check on that to see. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't be able to. If they needed assistance, we would just need to know who those students are. Any other questions?
Let me just add to, thank you for the report. Board members, you may recall several months ago, we received an email from a community member because our district was not on a list of other districts that were participating. And so I shared with you the reasons why, and we communicated that back out, but you either had to have an early college, have established an early college high school or a collegiate academy. And obviously, prior to our team coming together, the district had not had that in place. And so now that we have that in place, with the addition of the efforts that you just heard, moving forward, we're going to be on that list, and our kids obviously will be benefiting from those opportunities. And so this was a part of us being proactive as a team to make sure moving forward we were in a good position.
So even though we weren't on the list, the kiddos from the class of 2017 were able to apply. We just weren't on the list.
Because we didn't meet the criteria of having a collegiate academy or an established early college high school.
But yet our kids last year could still apply. But it'll be better this year
It will
because
be.
we have one. Okay.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Did we have any more questions on that?
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
We will now move on to communication. Do we have any communication from citizens? Being that there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned.